Hey, welcome to Intern Connect, the podcast where we prove the best place to launch your career might be closer than you think. I'm your host, Karen George, the program manager for Hello West Michigan. Whether you're halfway through your first internship, still figuring out what to do with your life, or just trying to find a coffee shop that isn't a 45-minute drive away, this podcast is for you. West Michigan is having a moment. From the lakeshore to downtown Grand Rapids, companies here are doing big things, and they want you to be a part of it. Each episode, we'll sit down with former interns who turned their summers into careers, local coordinators who know what it takes to stand out, and HR leaders who are actively looking for the next generation of West Michigan talent. Consider this your pregame to the West Michigan Intern Connect conference happening this June. Now let's get connected. I am here with Misti Stanton, the first Vice President and Talent and Culture Officer at Mercantile Bank. Hi, Misti. Thanks for being here today.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Misti, can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and sharing your career journey?
Sure. So my name is Misti Stanton, and I am the first Vice President, Talent and Culture Officer at Mercantile Bank. And I've been with them for 12 years. Prior to joining the bank, I worked in education for 25 years for the Grand Rapids Public Schools.
Wow.
And then also worked for Heart of West Michigan United Way for 4.5 years as a program manager, doing some literacy work, which is one of the things that's near and dear to me.
That's amazing. So, you obviously made some pivots. Yeah. How did that work? How did you make those decisions? And do you have any advice for people who are making similar pivots?
That's a great question. So I was not looking for a new opportunity. When you understand your why, when people come to you and you can see your why within that opportunity, you kind of jump on it. So I worked in education. I worked at Harrison Park Middle School, which is on the west side near Mercantile Bank. And there were some commercial lenders who used to come into a program that I used to run, which was called the Schools of Hope program, which is a partner with Grand Rapids Public Schools and also Heart of West Michigan United Way. And the folks from the bank would come in and they would mentor with my third graders.
Oh, cool.
And so I kind of built a relationship with some of the mercantile folks. And one day we were just talking and they were saying that there was an opportunity at the bank and they thought that I would be a great fit. And I said to them, well, I do recess duty. I read stories and I sit on the floor. When I think about banking, I'm not thinking about Misti. But what they shared with me about the job and the skills was right in alignment with who I am and what I want to impact.
That's great.
A piece of that was just helping to develop a stronger culture and also being able to implement and found their summer internship program. So that was powerful to me and that kind of spoke to me. And what it said is that, you can't get caught up in a name of an organization or an industry. You can still fit and be able to still serve your purpose. And I felt like here's an opportunity for me. And I just took a leap of faith. And it was probably one of the best decisions that I know it's one of the best decisions I made for my next step in my career.
That's amazing. That's great. So, how did you end up in West Michigan and what kept you here?
Oh, born and raised.
Amazing.
I am GR all the way through.
Oh, great.
Born and raised in this community, a product of the Grand Rapids Public Schools. I went to college 2 years locally here and then transferred to Jackson State,
Awesome.
which is a HBCU, and it's in Jackson, Mississippi.
Very cool. So what brought you back to Grand Rapids afterwards?
The foundation of where I come from, my family, the roots. This community is very dear to me. I have a lot of good memories, a lot of growth, and just felt like this is where I could continue to develop as a professional.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that you helped found the Mercantile Bank's internship program. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the program and how it differs from maybe some other corporate internship programs.
Yeah, so when I first started the role, the goal was to be able to create a pipeline of future bankers. When you think about banking, I went to school. Nobody ever said, here's a career opportunity. And the first thing that came to mind to me was counting money. I'm not that sharp in math. I'm not horrible, but I'm not that sharp. And so it was interesting to me when I had the opportunity to actually understand the different departments and the different skills and the different opportunities within this organization, right? So I wanted to be able to build something to expose students who maybe would never have thought about banking, or even if you thought about it, truly understanding all the different aspects and all the different skills that, and job opportunities actually in the banking industry. So what I did was I went to every career fair. I called all the people that I knew who were, working with young professionals or even trying to create opportunities for young professionals and convinced them that you need to check out Mercantile Bank Summer Internship Program. Here's an opportunity for you to learn no matter what your background is. And so it started out very small in 2014, and then we just kind of developed and built from there.
That's fantastic. So when you're hiring interns, what do you look for?
I look for students who are self-motivated, not perfect, but eager for opportunity. I look for students who definitely have a background in business, some type of business, or even if you're undecided. But I'm really looking for students who are going to take an internship opportunity serious.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
I don't expect students to walk in and know exactly what to do and what to say, but I want them to be hungry for knowledge and say, here's a space and an opportunity that will benefit both company and myself. So how do I get into this space and learn and grow, but also share what I know as well? So I'm really looking for students who are advocates for themselves, and willing to really step into an opportunity, even if you're not quite sure what it might be.
Absolutely. That's so important. Yeah, that self-advocacy, I think it's something that can be hard for people. I know that there's a lot of imposter syndrome that people experience in their first jobs. And so it's important to start building those skills as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
What would you say is the single biggest mistake that you see interns make, and how can they avoid making it?
So that's a loaded question. So I would say there's processes to this.
Yeah.
So one piece is that make sure you have an updated resume, right? Because that's the piece that recruiters and people that are trying to fill these positions, that's the first thing that they have to really speak to who you are. So sometimes I see students where they will have a resume. It'll either be too long or it will have not the right information on it. And then also the contact information. Make sure it's your correct email, it's your correct phone number, and you're checking this daily. So if you're seeking an opportunity and this is what you're handing someone, you need to make sure that you're always checking to make sure that if you have a message or something like that. I see students sometimes miss opportunities because they don't follow up in a timely manner.
Absolutely.
That's a huge piece, I think, that can be a barrier.
Yeah, follow-up is important. You mentioned a resume is too long. What to you is too long?
Anything more than one page, and that's just my personal opinion. If you get over 100 or 200 resumes, you don't want to be flipping through. Sometimes there's this debate about a cover letter and not having a cover letter. That's also a preference based on who the recruiter is or based on who you are. A cover letter should be an overall high-level summary of your skills that speak to your resume, right? So that's what I'm kind of looking for.
Absolutely. So once an intern is in their internship, how can they use that opportunity to explore whether the field or the company is actually the right fit for them?
So our program, I don't post these positions anywhere because we did such a great job in the beginning, and the students are telling the story for us. So we have a waiting list, and I'm not trying to brag, but I guess I am bragging.
It's okay to brag.
And I won't take all the credit. It's the, Mercantile Bank, we have a lot of smart people there and a lot of people who are hungry to help develop our future bankers. So when you get into this, if you are lucky enough to have this opportunity, our program has been developed, and students have an opportunity to do job shadows. So you can do 3 to 5 job shadows within your internship.
That's great.
So if you're placed in a department, say for example, you're in, I'm just going to pick on mortgage, which is a great space. If you're a mortgage intern and you're like, well, I'm not sure if that's really where I want to be. I tell my students, don't get hung up on that, because you have an opportunity to shadow. And some of the skills you're learning here are the same skills you'd be learning in another department. So that's one of the things that I try to make sure I share with them. We do a community service project collectively where the students come up with this. So they have to learn. If I have 17 students and you all have an idea about where you want to do your community service, how do you collectively come together? Because I'm only taking one idea. So I'm teaching them how to have conversation, how to communicate, how to compromise, right? So they have to figure that out and bring it to me, and then it has to meet the standards of mercantile and also the program.
That's great.
So there's a lot of teaching happening there. They also have professional etiquette. They get speakers that come in once a month.
Oh, wow.
We do weekly calls where students have a chance to present some type of topic or something they want to share with their fellow cohorts, right? And it could be about credit, it could be about networking, it could be about whatever, but they have to develop a PowerPoint and do a presentation. So these are things that you're interning in a department, but you also have access to all this information.
Absolutely.
And
So you have to
also
take advantage of every
yes,
opportunity.
absolutely. Yes.
For sure.
So how you show up and how you kind of go through your experience, that gives you an opportunity to be seen later.
Yeah.
And it's about timing. What jobs are available? You know, if you attended a meeting, did you ask a question? Were you engaged? Did you hand in the projects in a timely manner? We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for students who are eager to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of pieces.
Yes. So you got to show that eagerness in everything you do.
Absolutely.
And how, when you are preparing for a job, we've had a lot of interns ask for help with the whole job hunting process. So could you give some advice on how someone should prepare for an interview at a company in West Michigan specifically? And is there anything specific about the job market here that you've noticed?
I think that you have to know yourself first. That's a big piece. Do your own research. So sometimes you move to communities and you talk to people and they give you their perspective. And there's nothing wrong with getting additional information, but I think it's important to understand who you are and what skills you possess and what kind of experience or impact you're trying to make. I think sometimes students want it to be, you tell me where I fit,
Yeah.
opposed to saying, this is what I feel my strengths are. And this is where I feel like I want to be exposed to as far as a career. So I really think it's important to do your own work no matter where you go. But also it's important to know if you're in West Michigan, we have winter. So if that's not your jam.
That's important to know. Absolutely.
So get to know the community and the people in the community. Understand the culture and the pulse of people, but also make your own decisions based on who you are.
Absolutely. And going off of that, do you have any advice for the folks who maybe start an internship and then find that that's not the right fit for them? So maybe they've explored themselves in this internship and it's not the right fit. How would you go about taking advantage of the rest of your internship while you're in that position?
Yeah, that's a great question because I'm pretty sure we've had students that were like, this is not what I thought. That's great because we don't want anybody to be in a space that they can't thrive and be successful. So we've done our job because we've exposed you to the industry. And if you put somebody in a place or a space that does not feed their skills and who they are, then that does not help the industry. That does not help our community. So it's not a loss. It's actually an awareness, which is still a win to me.
Yeah. And then it's better to go into an internship and have that experience and go into a full-time job and have that experience. But it happens either way.
Right.
All right. And then back to interview skills. What is the most common thing that you think holds a strong candidate back in an interview?
Okay. So I have a few things that I hand out to my students about, once they're hired, I always give feedback and we always do like a workshop. And there's several things like when you're interviewing, you need to know who you're interviewing for. Observe the landscape in the industry, right? Because sometimes we don't do our homework. So if I'm working in education and I don't like kids, I might have selected the wrong space to be in.
Maybe.
So I'm always like, make sure you've done your homework, check the website out, understand what the industry does, also do a self-assessment of yourself. What skills or things that I feel like I can bring, but then what can I gain from this as well, right? So you have a resume and you want to make sure that you can walk yourself through your resume, because if you don't know who you are, then I sure don't either, right? So make sure that whatever's on your resume, you can basically look down, but still be able to say, here's who I am. These are the skills and the experiences that I have had. This is what I'm hoping to gain. So don't get uncomfortable if someone says, walk me through your resume. You should be able to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
You should be able to do that.
For sure. And you said to, do your homework. When you go on the website, a company's website, what are you looking for? What should they find?
I think you always need to make sure you go to the mission, vision, and value statement, and make sure that something within that space speaks to who you are. There is no perfect company. There is no perfect employee, but there has to be enough of some things that speak to you to be able to walk in there, because you want to always improve and stay relevant. So nothing should be perfect when you see it. But I would say the mission, vision, and value statement. Who are you? What's your brand? What do you deliver? And how do you take care of your people?
Absolutely.
That's important.
So one of the biggest things that we've heard from interns is that they know it's really important to network. They talk about relationships in West Michigan and how relationships are everything, and that's how how you find your next career. But they don't actually know how to network, and building those conversations can be really tricky. So do you have a networking secret that you could share with our interns?
So I think that one of the biggest things with networking is that it's uncomfortable because it's networking. And you have to first acknowledge that piece.
Absolutely.
No matter if you're an introvert, an extrovert, or if you're comfortable with yourself or not, networking gives people anxiety, right? I would say the first thing you do is when you're networking is identify maybe 3 to 5 spaces that you say, I want to be in that space because I know there's some people there that are either aligned with my career or some of the things that I want to develop, or people that I want to be connected to. So that's important. And then it's also important, when you get in that space, is what's your plan? So if somebody comes up to you, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
So have something rehearsed. What kind of questions would you ask? And be mindful of, don't go too personal.
Yeah.
Like people, it doesn't matter necessarily about your title
Yeah.
and if you're married or how many children you have. So you need to figure out what is comfortable, right? And figure out what type of questions or what type of plan or how you would introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
The key thing is be yourself. If you're nervous, you're nervous. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, okay. I would say be yourself, make a plan, make sure you're asking the right questions, take their information.
Absolutely.
It's okay to have a piece of paper and pen and jot down notes as you're talking to them so you don't forget.
Great.
That's not disrespectful,
Absolutely.
right? You remember. If you take their card and they say, let's get together, make sure you follow up.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we take information and we never follow through. Or even in that moment, the advice I'd say is pull out your phone or whatever, your calendar, and schedule something
Absolutely.
in that moment.
100%.
Be intentional, because you lose, once you walk away from those spaces, sometimes you forget people's names. You don't know what conversation you've had. If it really means something to you, you start building it very slowly.
Yes. It's not about collecting a bunch of business cards all at once.
It's not. It's about making the connection.
Absolutely. You mentioned asking the right questions. Do you have any of your own questions that you like to ask when you're at a networking event?
Sometimes I would say, so what brings you here?
Yeah.
And then sometimes what kind of future goals do you have in the position that you're in? Things like that kind of can trigger some conversation.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't seem as personal.
For
and
sure.
It doesn't seem title driven.
Yes.
Because sometimes if you think you're talking to the CEO and president, that's going to change your whole demeanor.
Yeah.
So sometimes just leave that out. And who are you? What's your name?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love the what brings you here, because it's such a simple thing, and maybe it's the same thing. Maybe you're here for different reasons. Yeah, and then you learn a little bit more about it. It's a great opener. That's important.
Yes, and be honest. If you don't know, you're like, I'm here because they said I have to be here and I have to figure out how to network. Speak your truth.
Honestly, it's very humanizing to just admit that I gotta learn how to network, for sure.
Be honest.
Oh, that's great. And then we're gonna wrap up here in a minute. So first off, I want to give you an opportunity to share where people can follow your work or connect with you.
Yes. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Misti Stanton, MISTI STANTON. Yep, so they can go right there.
Perfect. And then could you share some of your West Michigan favorites, maybe your favorite restaurant, your favorite coffee shop, or just a hidden gem that you feel comfortable sharing with an audience?
Oh my goodness, I have so many. My goal is every Saturday I'm always going to a new space. But I don't drink coffee, but I like the way coffee smells.
Oh, yeah.
So there's not a coffee shop in this community that I don't like. Sip, have you ever been to that one?
I love Sip. Sip is great.
Okay, that's a good spot. I'm kind of bougie on a budget. I like Bistro. Sugar Please is a new restaurant it's a brunch spot that's here.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Robinson's Popcorn, Mosby's Popcorn, all those places are great. There's so many places. I have a list, and I could just rattle them off.
I love that you said you try a new place every Saturday. That's great.
Well, I think that's how you keep a community thriving.
Absolutely, 100%. There's so many small businesses here, and there are
Lots of them.
so many great ones to support. And there's so many that you have to intentionally try new ones in order to try them all.
Right. I don't mind referrals,
Okay.
but I also believe in checking things out for myself.
Absolutely.
So as we're having this conversation, I think interns are sometimes looking for this perfect plan or this template that you can hand someone. We're all different.
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing with this is respect
absolutely.
and then strong communication skills. What does that look like?
100%.
And you can navigate in any space.
Absolutely. I love that. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I think I'm good. I appreciate this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Misti, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Intern Connect. If you haven't already, make sure you're registered for the main event, June 10th at the Amway Grand Plaza in Grand Rapids. It's the state's largest conference for interns, and it's going to be a day full of real conversations, real connections, and real opportunities. And the fun doesn't stop there. The Intern Connect social series keeps the momentum going all summer long with Bocce Night at Silva GR on June 16th and an evening at Millennium Park on July 15th. Head to hellowestmichigan.com to register and get all the details. We'll see you there.